I like that new update, and it tells us now when we're being recorded, so I can't surprise people. But right, I got to figure out a setting to turn that bad boy off so I can just kind of keep going. But it's the truth, guys. It's 100% the truth. I'm 16 years in this industry. My family still doesn't give me credibility. They still don't discuss financial matters with me. I find out about my parents' financial mistakes after. Look, notice what I call them financial mistakes because they make these mistakes. They make these mistakes. My dad, when he paid off, the first thing he did after his settlement, right? You guys remember my dad in 2005 was a real bad car accident. In 2007, my dad's settlement came in. Okay. My dad got $500,000 in his settlement. 350,000 of it was just medical bills, just so y'all know. No, I'm lying. About 300,000. 110,000 of it went to the attorney. Right? So the attorney made out well. At the end of the day, my dad walked out with a little over $100,000 in his pocket out of $500,000 settlement. It was like 525. It was something like that. He walked away with 100. Look at Irvin. No, hell no. Yep, that's what happened. Granted, my dad, just so you know, he's a Comcast employee. He's been an employee at Comcast now for 20 plus years. If you know anything about Comcast, Comcast has the best health benefits ever. The best. And even that health insurance didn't help cover a good chunk of the costs for my dad's accident. He walked away with about 110, 111,000, somewhere around there. First thing he did is pay off his house. First thing he did, he paid off his house. Now, granted, houses aren't what they are today. My dad bought a brand new house on 3 acres of land for $84,000. I think it was $93,000 after taxes or some crazy number like that. So he paid it off, right? Then what my dad does is he goes and he gets an equity line, and the bank that he goes to gives him a credit card, which is the access that he has to that equity line. Can you believe this? My father believed that it was a credit card that they gave him with $70,000 access to money, but it wasn't attached to his house. That's what he believed. I mean, I'm talking about for years. He was like, no, I have a credit card. They gave it to me because I paid off the mortgage. My house is paid off. There's no mortgage on it. There's no lien on it. There's nothing. I go, Dad, how much is that credit card? He's $70,000. I go, do you really think a bank's going to give you $70,000 worth of an unsecured loan without attaching that loan to your house? I said, think about that. No. That's not what it is. That's not what it is. That's not, you know, those old Latinos, right? Hard-headed, stubborn. You're my son. You don't know better than me kind of people. That's what he thought. Honest to God, that's what he thought. And you know what my dad starts doing? My dad starts racking it up and racking it up and racking it up, because my dad's also one of those guys where he's just like, every 7 years my credit resets even if it's bad. You know what I'm talking about? You ever seen those people? They don't care. They don't give a damn about their credit. They know every 7 years it just resets itself and they'll just start building. So he starts racking it up and racking it up and racking it up. And finally, I tell my mom, I go, Mom, listen, you got to stop him. I said, I know he thinks that this $70,000 is not attached to his house. If he doesn't pay that $70,000 off, they're going to take his house. No, but he said that they're not. They gave him it because he paid off the mortgage. Yeah, they're glad that he paid off the mortgage, and they gave it to him because they still want to collect interest on him. I go, but do you think somebody's going to give you $70,000 worth of a credit card without attaching it to some type of collateral? My dad figured it out at 40,000. At 40,000. He figured it out only because my mom finally put the brakes on him and said, hey, go check this out. Go check out what Tony's talking about. So I tell you this story so that you guys understand me, 16 years in the industry, guys. And just so you know, my first 3 years of this industry, I was doing insurances, but I was also doing mortgages. I worked for Wachovia Bank. Y'all remember Wachovia Bank? That's now Wells Fargo. Look how long ago that was, right? I was a Wachovia Bank licensed financial specialist was the title they gave me. So I did insurance, I did securities, and I did banking. So I did mortgages and stuff like that. So I learned all about that stuff. I did a few $1 million worth of mortgages during that time. Zero credibility. Even to this day, if I bring it up, he'll deny it completely. He'll deny it because I've just learned I don't even bring it up. I don't even bring it up. So I say this to you guys so that you guys understand. And this is to the newest person who's on here right now, the very newest person who's on here right now. Matter of fact, let me ask you guys a question. Let me ask a question here, okay? And if I can get everybody's cameras, because I just want to see your facial expression when I can. Whoever can, give me their cameras, okay, please. How many of you feel you don't have the you don't have the skill sets to go write up a piece of business on your own? Raise your hands. Okay, Tanisha, that's an honest answer. I appreciate it. Marlene, that's an honest answer. Tyrone, that's an honest answer. Okay, and that's okay. I remember that phase. I remember that phase when I was scared. I remember when I was like, man, do I do it right? You know what I mean? Do I do it wrong here? Here's my tips to you guys on this. Okay. Nobody knows how new you are when you're in front of them. Nobody knows how new you are when you're in front of them. They don't know when you make a mistake and when you don't make a mistake. Okay. You've got to be willing to break that seal. You've got to be willing to cross that bridge and make that first sale, because the moment you make that first sale, guys, I promise you, it's like God gives you this confidence that you never thought you had because you did it once. All it takes for you to go and do it one time. That's all it takes. It takes for you to go do it one time. The person has no idea. Why do I say that comment with regards to recruiting? I say it because when you recruit somebody, it's your emotion and it's your passion that recruits them in. They don't need to know how long you've been in the company. They don't need to know how long you've had your insurance license. They don't need to know any of that stuff, guys. No lie, they genuinely don't need to know that stuff, right? They need to know that you're passionate about the industry. They need to know that you have a system in place that you can put them into. That's the biggest thing they need to know during a recruiting interview. We have systems, we have training Monday nights, we have training Saturday morning. We have some of the top leaders in the industry over here. We have access to some of the best companies that you can think of. It's an independent contract. Nothing at all there says, hey, this is how long I've been in the industry. When I do my interviews, guys, I don't tell people how long I've been in the industry. And I could say I've been at this 16 years now. I could say I've made a little over $2.5 million in this industry. I can say that if I wanted to build it. I don't need to say it. It's the emotion. I don't need to say that. Now, why again is this attached to that conversation I just mentioned about how long you've been in the industry? Your agents are going to want you to go to the field with them. Your agents are going to want you to go to the field with them because, believe it or not, however little experience you have in this industry, they have less than you. However little experience you have in this industry, they have less than you. Now, I'm going to tell you this last statement that someone made to me when I was very scared to make my first sale. Mind you, at the time, I was doing mortgages, I was doing securities, right? Because I was securities licensed, and I was doing insurance. He said this to me. He says, you're just selling insurance. Stop overthinking it. The worst thing that happens is you put some insurance on somebody and it's not the right amount of coverage. But think about that statement. Having something is better than not having anything. Wouldn't you agree? You're not selling securities where you could potentially lose people's money. You're not selling a variable product where the next day the market could tank. You're not selling crypto. You're not trying to sell somebody right now and buying Dogecoin and XRP and Bitcoin with everything that's going on right now for anybody who's following Bitcoin, anybody who's following crypto right now. You're not trying to get them to do any of that stuff. You're not trying to get them to buy into AMC stock. You guys anybody been seeing what's going on with AMC stock right now? You're not doing that. You're not telling somebody to put their life savings in something where the next day it could be done, gone. You're selling insurance. You're selling insurance. And yes, you might say to yourself, well, Tony, you talk so heavily about the IUL and how you can inappropriately create it. You're right. So do this due diligence. It's the only thing I ask you to do if you're going to sell an IUL. Okay, the only thing you're going to do if you're going to try to sell an IUL by yourself, send me an illustration. Send me the illustration. I'll take 10 minutes to take a quick look at it. You tell me the demographic of the person. I'll tell you if it's designed appropriately or not. I use the same formula across the board. If you're in your 30s, I want to see overfunding by 30%. In your 40s, by 40%. If you're not overfunding, tell me the reason why. I'm not going to lie. I've taken a 40-year-old and written him up at Target, but I've also done it because I knew that in the next 6 months to a year, he was going to start overfunding regardless. So tell me the storyline. And guess what? While something's in underwriting, you can make changes. You're only selling insurance. You're only selling insurance. I've got an agent that I'll forever remember. His name is Eddie Tragus. Eddie Tragus in 2019 bought a piece of insurance from me. He coded up with me December 31st of 2018. Right? That was back in the day when, closeout was the last day of the month, no matter what. So here I am, December 31st on New Year's Eve at the office, closing out, and I recruit somebody. He was a former Primerica agent. He lived in Coral Springs, Florida. Okay. January I do his orientation. In his orientation, I schedule his personal needs analysis, his financial needs analysis to do his business. He does $100,000 term policy with me. And initially he said this to me. He said, I'm not going to get it because, number one, he came on board with me and immediately he went to a massive convention and he was sold the dream, right? And he wanted to quit his technology salary business and come on board full time. And I told him, that's not a good idea, bro. I said, wait till you're making more money. But unbeknownst to me, he had quit his job anyways. He didn't tell me. He refused to hold that information. He didn't tell me. He quit. And he says to me, I'm not going to get the policy because I want to keep my expenses down because my income is dropping. I said, absolutely not. I said, absolutely not. I met your daughter. I met your parents. I spent time with them. I go, no. I go, you need to be covered, bro. If something, heaven forbid, happen to you, man, right? Heaven forbid something happen to you, man. Like, I got to look at them in the face. And I got to tell them that someone that was selling insurance, someone that's teaching them insurance, me, didn't get coverage in place on you. I go, how much of a hypocrite can we be? I said, get something. Now, granted, his dime analysis said he needed $350,000, but you know what he bought from me? He bought $100,000. He bought $100,000. The policy went through underwriting in January. February, on a Monday, it was issued. That Thursday, he passed away. February on a Monday, it was issued. Some of y'all might even know him when you were at Practice Company, because even when he was with us, he came to a big event. I mean, everything. On a Monday, his policy was issued. On a Thursday, he passed away from a heart attack, unexpectedly. Now, did he have the right amount of coverage based on his dime analysis? No. He needed $330,000. 330, 350, somewhere around there, just going off memory. But he purchased $100,000. Having something, however, was still better than nothing. Do you know what happened with that $100,000? It went to his daughter. His daughter was a single mom. You know what she was able to do with that $100,000? She was able to put a down payment on her first house. That's what she was able to do. Right? Now, was it enough coverage? No, but it was something. So I say this to you guys, for those of you that are afraid, for those of you that feel you don't have the skill sets to go out there and write up a piece of business, you're just selling insurance. The worst thing that you do is you put some type of amount of life insurance on somebody, something that they didn't have before they met you. No lie. That's what you're doing. And if you really want to make the sale and then afterwards come back and sit with me and break it down and see if it was the right thing to do, cool, let's do it. No problem. But you got to be willing to fall forward and make that first sale. You got to be willing to fall forward and make that first sale. I find more sales opportunities through recruiting than I do lead generation. Leads work. Oftentimes, I buy leads. Do you know why I buy leads? I buy leads to show you guys that they work. I buy leads to show you. I buy leads to lead from the front and be able to say, here's the activity that I'm doing to sell my leads. But even if I look right now at my existing clientele for this whole year right now, mind you, again, I'm turning in anywhere from 12 to 20 pieces of business on a monthly basis right now. Okay. 80% of it, when I figure out the root of where it came from, you know where it came from? It came from recruiting. It came from recruiting. I'll give some love right now to Cesar Garcia. Cesar Garcia in the last 30 days has done $495,000 worth of rollovers. 3 cases, not one. He didn't like land one whale. No, 3 independent cases. Right? You know what Cesar says to me? He says, listen, bro, I know these people, they give me zero credibility. I know these people. I've sold them insurance. He's already sold them insurance. So I'm glad he's willing to fall forward. He's like, but I can't talk to them about these types of things because they don't take me serious. I said, okay, let's go to the meetings together. And because of that, just so you guys know, based on what I'm projecting, I'm not 100% confirmed yet. Next week, he'll make $11,000. Next week, let me say it again. Next week, Cesar Garcia in his 20s, still working a full-time job. I think he just recently quit it. Will make $11,000 in 1 week in commissions. Now, where I have to say to myself, where did I find that business? I didn't know those people. They weren't on a lead list. You know where it came from? It came from recruiting. It came from recruiting. You know, it's crazy. I didn't even recruit Cesar. I didn't know Cesar before before TKO. He was with Practice Company, but I still didn't know him. You know who he came from? He came from Puebly. Puebly's going to get an override on a piece of business that she had nothing to do with. Her organization is growing, turning in business. She's getting herself closer to the next promotion. Cesar's making good income. The agency's growing. It all happened from where? Recruiting. Recruiting. I just brought on board Walter and Udoka, VPs out in the Texas area. Okay. They reached out to me on social media, said, hey, man, listen, we're not happy where we're at. We went to a company. It wasn't what it was. We want to come on. We want to come on board. We really want to do some stuff. Right. Hang on. Somebody wrote something. Had been out of the industry for 2 years. Look at that. Caesar had been out of the industry for 2 years. He just came back in. It's crazy. So I brought on board Udoka and Walter. You know what Udoka and Walter do? Udoka and Walter in the last 5 days have brought on board 4 agents. I did an orientation on one of them yesterday who has her license and never, ever had a chance to get it activated. So I took the extra steps and said, why haven't you activated? She says, honestly, I'm not good with technology. I don't know how to do my AML. I don't understand how to get this errors and omissions. So you know what my orientation turned into? It turned into me doing that with her. I didn't actually do an orientation. I did that with her. You know, she says to me, she's, I got 5 people that I'm ready to write up. I just haven't been able to write them up because I haven't been able to get contracted. So I asked myself, where are those 5 people coming from? But they came from her, who came from Walter, who came from Udoka. Udoka hit me up on social media. That came from recruiting. That wasn't a lead list. Let me tell you something. A warm lead is way better than any kind of a lead. A warm referral is better than any kind of a lead. Do you know why? There's not 5 to 10 other agents behind you calling that person. There's just one person, you. A lead, however exclusive it can be, it will eventually get resold. And when it resells, you better cross your fingers and hope you build enough of a relationship with that client that when those 5 to 10 other agents come calling them or emailing them or knocking on their door or texting them, that they don't have more charisma than you do and replace what you sold them. I'm not trying to instill fear in you guys. Leads work. I've got leads. What's his, Alberto Fajardo yesterday I met up with him. He came from a lead. And granted, I recruited him as well too. I found him through an Instagram lead system. Right. And the only reason I know is because he told me, right? So he came through a lead company and he says, oh yeah, I filled out a questionnaire, on something I found on Instagram. So I wrote him up, right? $1,800 of annual premium on an NLG policy because he's a Venezuelan and he's undocumented. By the way, if you've come across undocumented people, NLG is the best to go with. Okay. National Life Group. Venezuela, especially Venezuela, so that you guys know right now is in high risk according to the United States, because there's a lot of stuff that's going on over there right now with the politics. I'm positive in the next 3 months, Colombia is going to be on that list as well too. When a country joins what's called the OFAC list, called the Office of Foreign Asset Control, what that means is that country has a high risk for terrorism. Why? Because they're communism, because they're doing things that the United States doesn't like. And therefore, when someone from that country gets put onto that list, a lot of insurance companies say, nope, we're not touching it. We're not taking on that risk. You're undocumented. If we put insurance on you and you end up back over there where they're shooting people in the streets, now we're at risk of having to pay that death claim out. We're not going to take it. NLG takes it. Just so you know, NLG, undocumented, from any OFAC country, NLG is the route you want to go. They got to be here for at least 6 months. They have to have an address here. They have to have at least an ITIN. They have to at least have a tax ID number showing that they're willing to pay the government taxes for the earnings that they're making. They don't need to have a social security, a resident card, a visa, nothing. An ITIN, be here for 6 months, have a residential address over here, and you can get them covered. Term insurance, final expense, whole life insurance, or IUL. What NLG does not have is a GUL platform. Living benefits as well included. So just so you guys know. So I wrote him up. You know what I also did? I recruited him. You see, a client is 1 sale this year, 2 to 4 sales in the next 2 to 5 years if you have a good follow-up system with your clientele, which we should talk about that. And I should teach you guys how to have a good follow-up system with your book of business, because your book of business does generate you more income if you know how to work it the right way. But that's what 1 client gets you. The sale right now, which is the commission right now, and then 2 to 4 more throughout the year. And, occasionally a couple referrals. But that's it. You know what a recruit gets you though? A recruit gives you a pension. A recruit gives you someone that will constantly be working, either buying leads or working referrals, getting in front of markets, recruiting other people, and it becomes a lifetime stream of income. It becomes a lifetime stream of income. The last couple guys that I've recruited, if you guys notice, I've been talking a lot about it on the group chat. I've recruited some heavy hitters lately. I've recruited a guy named Roger Romance. Just so you guys know, Roger Romance is a securities investment advisor. He works wealth management. Okay. He works wealth management in the South Florida market, but they don't do insurance there. And because it's an independent agency, it's not a Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley that has a lot of corporate rules. He knows the owner of the securities firm. He's got the green light to hang his insurance license elsewhere. You know what he says to me? He says, listen, bro, I'm making phenomenal income right now in the securities world. But you know what? If I'm not clocked in, I'm not making that kind of money. I'm doing this with you not because I want to sell insurance. I'm doing this with you because I want to build an agency and I want to build residual income. Notice what he said. It isn't that he wants to write up a crap ton of clients and then get the renewals from the policies. No, he wants to recruit a massive team and start building residual income for himself. Because if you got, I'm going to tell you right now, it's very simple. I mean, it's very simple. You get five guys that make $100,000 each a year with a 20% spread, and you're making $100,000 of residual income without clocking in. That's what you're getting. Not only that, you get an opportunity if you're coachable and you come to trainings and you learn the business, you're willing to fall forward, you get an opportunity to be their trainer. Now you're splitting commissions. So you go 50-50 on a piece of business. Let's say it's $1,000 of annual premium. 500 of it is yours. 500 of it is your trainees. But if your trainee is in your hierarchy, what do you also do to that 50%? Anybody know the answer to that? Come on. Anybody know it?
Can override?
You override their 50% too. Correct. So now you're not really making a 50%. You're making more like a 65, a 70, kind of depending on where the spread is, right? What's your spread? What's your margin between them and you, right? But that's the power of increasing your distribution. That's the power of what that is. McDonald's is not the #1 fast food franchise because they have the best burger. I'll repeat it. McDonald's is not the #1 fast food franchise because they make the best burger. Let's be honest. There's a couple other places that make some better hamburgers than McDonald's. It's kind of an argument over their French fries, right? Some people are like, nah, Mickey D's fries are the best. Fine. Some people agree, some people don't. But let's be real. They don't make the best quality product. I'm sure half of y'all can do a barbecue in your backyard and make a better hamburger than McDonald's does. But yet, they're the #1 fast food franchise. Do you know why? They have the best distribution system. You got to drive by 7 McDonald's to get to 1 Burger King. Think about it. Chick-fil-A sandwich, McDonald's chicken sandwich. Which one's better? Go ahead. You know which one it is, right? Chick-fil-A all day.
Chick-fil-A all day.
All day except for Sundays, right? All day except for Sundays. That's the church day, right? But yet McDonald's still makes 3 times more money than Chick-fil-A. Now, don't get me wrong, Chick-fil-A is coming up. Once Chick-fil-A figures out distribution, Mickey D's is in trouble. I just gave away my age, my generation when I said Mickey D's. Some of y'all younger ones are like, what the heck is Mickey D's? But my 90s kids are like, I know exactly what Mickey D's is. But you know what I'm saying? It's distribution. Distribution. Walmart annihilated Kmart because of distribution. They just kept on building, kept on building, kept on building, kept on building. People were getting aggravated. Like, man, why you open up a Walmart a block away from the other Walmart? And then you know what happened? They annihilated the big dog, Kmart, took them out. Target got scared there for a little bit. I don't know if y'all remember that era where Target was kind of on the rocks. And then Target decided, oh, we need to start adjusting. What did they do? They started opening up super centers. Because before, Target was just a department store of just clothing and, you know, the bicycles in the back and the toys and the electronics department. And then they said, man, Walmart's opening up grocery stores. We better do something or they're going to take us out too, the way they took out Kmart. So they started opening up super centers. And then Target became Target. But they're lasting. They're hanging there, right? But if you're not willing to adapt and adjust, guys, you fail. I'm telling you this right now, in the world of insurance, you're going to get burnt out if all you want to be is a producer. I can tell you that from experience. My first 6 years was all production. All production. I didn't recruit a single person. I didn't make a single bit of override. My income came 100% from production. You know what it cost me? It cost me my marriage. I had to work 80 hours a week just to put food on the table because there wasn't any income coming anywhere else. I'm telling you guys right now, for those of you that just want to produce, it's a great thing to do and it's a great skill to learn. And don't get me wrong, I'm very blessed at the fact that I learned it. But if I didn't start creating distribution, I didn't buy back time. And that's the biggest thing you guys want to buy. It's not about making six figures, it's about making six figures and more and having the time to enjoy it. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. I'm not saying to go recruit every single Joe Schmo up the street. You know, I'm not saying to go to the gas station and look at the first dude that has no shoes walking across it. No. But I am telling you this. Have the confidence in knowing you can talk to industry guys and present them this opportunity. Industry guys are coming this way right now. Industry guys are coming this way right now. Roger Romance is an industry guy. Serge Mesa that did training last week, he's an industry guy. He's an industry guy. Carlos Colon, he's an industry guy. I just brought on board another guy, CJ Noel. His daughter, I apologize, just brought him on board. Just yesterday, actually. He's already brought on board 3 other people. He's an industry guy. All these industry guys that I'm talking to you guys about right now, just so you guys know, they're making 200K plus. They're already making 200K plus. Carlos 350. Carlos making 7 figures with a couple other businesses that he has. And he doesn't mind that I'm sharing this with him because he's a marketer just like I am. He understands the power of that. And if you're not following Carlos Colon on social media, you should be following him and mimicking some of the stuff he does. He's really good. Like I look at it, I'm like, man, it's like you and I talk the same language. But why I'm saying this is every single one of them said to me this. He says, I'm coming over here not because, you know, I want to write business under you. I'm coming over here because you have a system that allows for me to build an agency to override. I'm making great income, but if I end up in the hospital, my family stops making income because I'm not out there making income. I need to find a way to make passive income. Passive. That's where recruiting comes in place. So I'm telling you guys right now, you're shooting yourselves in the foot if you're not marketing on social media, what it is to be an entrepreneur, what it is to be in the insurance industry. If you're not friending people on social media that don't already come from the financial services industry. I mean, Primerica guys, WFG guys, independent industry guys, HBW guys, PFA guys, all of these companies I'm giving you, all of these companies, NAA, all these companies I'm giving you. There's a lot of people there that don't have the systems that we have in place. And I'm not saying it to be biased. I promise you I'm not. And I get it. You might say, Tony, of course you have a bias. You built the system. I get it. I'm telling you, pound for pound right now, I haven't seen a single platform offer the kind of recruiting method, the kind of systems that we have in place that allow you to build a business without feeling like your business is going chaotic. You have a grip of it here. You have a grip of it here. My numbers last year, and I think probably will attest to this because we were working in the same company at the time, and she was able to see my numbers. My numbers last year from a recruiting standpoint were down in the pipes. I was not recruiting last year. And the reason I was only focused on production was because I was so focused on building out this infrastructure, making sure that when I pulled the plug and came and did this, that the infrastructure was there so that you guys could start building without feeling the limitations. You see, the independent guys, they want to come over because they don't have the systems. They don't have a method of recruiting somebody and then tracking that recruit. They don't have a method of putting them into a weekly training program. They don't have a method of getting them into a monthly clinic. They don't have a method of distinguishing between licensed and non-licensed. They don't have a matchup system. They don't have a matchup system to say, hey, I'm too busy to take this meeting. Can somebody else take this meeting and split the commissions? They don't have that. They don't have a licensing department that'll help them push licenses left and right. Guys, we're at 176 licensed agents. Some of y'all probably don't know that. We're at that because there's a system in place that helps that happen, that still allows me to run training with you guys, still allows me to go to the field with you guys, still allows me to go recruit with you guys. It still allows me to work it. I'm not behind the computer processing licensing. We have a system in place for all of it. It's all there. Some of you guys have contacted John or Neelam for quotes, for help with underwrite, for help with illustrations. That's a system in place. That means you don't got to call me to be able to do it. A lot of independent guys say, when I started to build, they needed to call me for everything, and I just got tired. I got gassed. They went through what's called leadership fatigue. They went through that piece because they don't have systems in place. Imagine, every one of y'all, imagine if you had to get all of your answers through me. Just think about it. Think about what would that do to your business. You think that would slow you down? Heck yeah, it would. Some of you guys get aggravated at my return time. Sometimes y'all call me. It takes me a day to call you back. I'm sorry. I'm busy, right? But imagine if every single thing had to come through me. I built the system that allows you guys to build your business. If you follow the system runs your business. Simple as that. Simple as that. And I want you guys to really max out and take advantage of this more, guys. This isn't about making six figures. This is about being able to say, I made $8,000 a month, and it came passively. Came passive. Because let's be real. Let's be honest. I mean, let's be 100% pure honest, right? If you could do anything in the world in your life, the last thing it would be was work. I don't care how much you love your career. I don't care how much you love your job. I don't care. Yes, Tyrone, I can get you. It's UMS's number. I'll get you that number. It's the 800 number, but that's the number you call to get access to everybody. But I'll get it to you. Think about it. If you could wake up every day and do what you wanted to do, it would not be to clock in to do any of it. If I could do anything in the world, it wouldn't be to clock in to do insurance. I love insurance and I'm good at it and I'm good at building organizations. But if I could have my way, I'd be waking up in freaking Fiji, and then I'd be waking up in Mexico, and then I'd be waking up in Bali, or I'd be taking my kid. Let me bring it down a little bit. Let me not sell a dream that some people think is unrealistic, right? Let me talk a realistic dream. Let's assume that I didn't have to clock in any longer. You know what I'd be doing every single day? I'd be spending time with my kids. I'd be opening up I'd be spending time with my dog. I'd be going to the beach. I'd be, you know what I mean? I'd be helping my son out with his basketball for the next upcoming season. My daughter's got a birthday coming up. I'd be out there right now shopping for her gift instead of ordering it on Amazon. You know, I'd be doing other things. I love to cook. I love to cook, guys. I was a chef for 6 years. What? Every evening would be a freaking badass meal at the house because I enjoy it. Literally. I mean, let's fill up the fridge, give me a bottle of wine, put a Miami Heat game on, put some bachata on the background, leave me alone in the kitchen. I'm going ham. I enjoy it. That's what I would be doing if it was me. But that you know what I'm saying? So what I'm fighting for is to build a business that generates enough residual income that allows me to at one point in life go and do that. There's one person that I admire so much. Let me see anybody nobody here probably would know who he is. Maybe Puebli. Maybe Irvin as well. My former WFG guys, Rubiel also. Guy's name is Rob Day. That name ring a bell, Rob Day? Rob Day, so that you guys know, recruited Eric Olson. If I'm not mistaken, I might be a little bit confused. Or I'm lying. He bought the code. He bought Eric Olson's upline's code. Just so you guys know, Eric Olson's making $7 million a year right now. Rob Day is someone that 70,000 people in the company have no idea who he is. You know what he did? He put his head down. He worked for 7 years. He built a massive agency. In that 7 years, he was making $500,000, and then he retired. He retired in his 30s. When he retired, he said, I'll never come back to insurance again. His $500,000 worth of income dropped down to $250,000 the first year. But then you know what happened? The entire agency adapted to him not being there. And they kept on building. They kept on recruiting. They kept on selling. Rob Day right now is making $3 million a year. He's 44 years old, 44, 45, somewhere around there. And I had the opportunity to have dinner with this man. This is the man that sold me the dream and what it was to agency build. I'm not even gonna lie. He said this to me. He said, I spend 99% of my time with my family and in my faith. I spend 1% of my time in my company. And that 1% of my time that I spend, you know what it is? It's going out to different offices and hosting different dinners and different conferences. He says, I wanted to become the most forgotten person in the industry. I admire the heck out of that. Some people thrive on the recognition. They need to be in the leaders board all the time. Leaders board. I thrive on finding the leaders that want to be on the leaders board. You should think the same way. Find 10 people that want to work 10 times as hard as you. Nothing wrong with that. Listen, Eric Olson's making $7 million a year. Respect. He loves his life. He needs to be in the spotlight. That's his personality. He needs to be in the spotlight. That man could retire, but he doesn't want to retire because he needs to be that. And if you're that person, great, be that person, live your life. I'm not that guy. I don't want to be in the spotlight. I want to recruit the people who want to be in the spotlight, because what I really want to do is I want to be cooking every single evening for my family. And I want to be running my kids' basketball team. And I want to be going to my daughter's dance recitals all the time. And I want to wake up never again to an alarm. Like, that's me. And if I want to stay up till 3 a.m, 4 a.m watching TV because I ain't got nothing to do the next morning, I want to do it. And if I want to go to the gym 2 hours a day, the best shape I ever got in my life was the moment I got divorced. It was crazy. I lost like 50 something pounds, bro. I got ripped. I was at the gym 2.5 hours a day because I had the time, didn't really have the motivation to do anything with business, right? I was going through a life-changing occurrence. And I think to myself, I would love to do 2 hours a day at the gym every day now, but I'm not there yet. I can't. I still got to work. But I know every time I build somebody in the organization, every time I build out another distribution system, it's another opportunity to buy back some of that time. And I'm saying it to you guys because you all have that same exact opportunity. I don't care if you're an associate here. Work your tail off, get yourself up to a partnership type contract, build a massive agency so that one day I could say, hey, listen, I think you and I need to have dinner with Marianne. I think you and I need to go have dinner with Marianne because she wants to talk to you about an FMO contract. She wants to talk to you about what it'd be to run your own agency. So you can break out of TKO's agency and open up your own FMO. And maybe that's not what you want to do at all. Maybe you want to make 7 figures being a massive agency inside of TKO. Great, I welcome it. You could still do that. Every one of y'all could still do that, but you gotta start thinking the 2 things that I talked about today. You gotta start thinking recruiting, and you gotta start thinking your first sales. You gotta get comfortable making your sales. You gotta get comfortable making your sales. There's so much income opportunity with intellectual property. Simple as that. We're at 14 right now for the month, right? 14 right now for the month, which is great. Let me give a shout out to those who got those 14. Hang on, let me give some love to Roger Romance, has got one in the system. I'm gonna give some love to Lamont Ford, he's got one in the system. I'm gonna give some love to Josh Collier. Josh Collier's got one in the system. Give love to Arlington, Texas. Who just did this one? Direct of Walter Edmondson, right? Give some love. He got one in the system. Let's give some love to Lamont's got 2 in the system. Lamont's got 3 in the system. Looks like Lamont's building again. It's great. Puebli. Actually, this isn't Puebli. This is Ola. Ola's got 1 in the system. Love it. Ola, good job. Let's give some love to CJ and Robin that I told you about yesterday. They're building in the system. They've got in the system. Walter's got another one in the system that makes 2 for him. Tasha Sims, which is part of Walter's organization, makes 3 in the system. So 14. And here's the pattern that I notice. It's my newer guys that are building. I want to see some of these older names come back up. Ola, I love the fact that you're building again. Keep building. You have so much. Where is she? Is she even on right? I saw her on. I don't know if she got knocked off. She got so much stinking talent. That girl could be a powerhouse when it comes to intellectual property in this industry. She genuinely could be. I think, Lulu, you have a question? Go ahead. I saw your hand raised.
That was earlier, Tony, sorry.
Oh, okay, my apologies. Let me see if there's any Q&A here real quick. John's number. Okay, good. Tyrone, you got John. Okay, Tyrone, save that number. That's the number you get access to everybody in the back office. Just so you know, this Monday through Friday till 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. They're based out of Jersey. John is the only male working in that office. He does anything that has to do with illustrations. Okay. Neelam, if you guys want to write that name down, Neelam handles everything that has to do with risk management. So if you have a client that has medical issues and you're trying to figure out which insurance company to go with, Neelam would be the one you would call. She'll send you a form based on whatever medical condition the person has for you to get some more specific answers. And then she'll shop out the market for you and she'll report back in a day or 2 with a report, an Excel spreadsheet report telling you what every company said about that particular client so you know which company is your best shot to apply with. That's Neelam. Okay. If you're going to work annuities, you call Donna. Donna works everything that has to do with annuities. My only request to you is this, guys, respectfully. I'm going to say this respectfully. If you know absolutely nothing about these types of topics, first contact your VP, your local field VP. And if it requires then contacting home office, contact home office then. The reason I say is because I don't want home office to have to be training the ABCs to the field. That's our job to do. It's our job. It's our, as VPs, it's our job to teach you the ABCs. It's their job to just give you what you're looking for in reference to an illustration or a medical thing. But if you're calling, trying to say, hey, hey, John, listen, can you talk to me about term insurance and how it works? That's not the kind of call I want John to get. But if you're calling John and say, hey, John, listen, I need $1.5 million term insurance policy, 30 years, preferred non-tobacco from North American, from American National, and from Foresters, that's the kind of conversations I want you to be having with him. But the ABCs and fundamentals, I still need to keep that into the field. And anything that has to do with licensing, I don't care how experienced you are, you contact Sandra. You do not contact the licensing department over there because I guarantee you they're swamped. That is the one department that is, they're swamped. They had to hire another person just because of the level of contracting that we're pushing through their system, just so you know. So that's one thing I want to make sure. Sandra has to be involved for a couple reasons, so you guys know. A couple reasons. Any states that you write, I have to be contracted in. And the only person who has that list is Sandra. Sandra is the only person that has that list of all the states that I'm licensed in. So I need to know first. Carriers as well, too. You're not going to be able to get contracted with a company that we're not already contracted with. So I need to know what's happening. And the way I know is by communicating with Sandra what's going on with that. Does that make sense? Yes, yes, yes. Good, cool. Does anybody have any guests for BOM today? I don't believe so. I didn't see anybody in the system. Okay. Do you guys mind if I go about another 10 minutes past 11? You guys good with that? If I do that?
Are we doing? Go for it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's do a little bit of role play. I'm going to tell you what I do. I'm going to show you what I do when it comes to opening up opportunities, getting people to understand the need for life insurance. A lot of people believe that selling happens at the illustration side. If you're thinking like that, you already lost the case. I want you to understand something. We, as insurance agents, are the only psychotic, crazy people that look at an illustration and drool at it. We're the only crazy ones that look at an insurance illustration and we get excited at it. We're like, oh my God, look at these numbers. We're the only ones. The client doesn't get excited about that. I repeat, the client does not get excited about that in any way, shape, or form. They just don't. They don't. The sale is made through a transference of emotion. When I'm talking about insurance, my first question that I always ask is this. First one, Mr. Client, have you ever encountered a situation where someone needed insurance and had it, or needed insurance and didn't have it? And obviously I'm talking life insurance. You know why I asked that question? I want to know if they've experienced a loss. And what I need to do is I need to emotionally bring them back to that space. I need to bring them back to that world. Okay, you ever hear somebody say to you, if you don't forgive people every single time you think about them, the same emotions come back to you as when they hurt you the first time. You ever heard anybody say that to you? You ever heard that statement before? Anybody? Nod your head. Yes, no, maybe. Okay, yes. Okay. So the reason that people say forgiveness is for you and not the person you're forgiving is because if you don't forgive people, what happens is you carry that hurt with you. And every time you think of them, you have to relive what happened the first time they hurt you. Well, take that into the world of insurance. I want to get them back to the world where they were when someone passed away. I want that. So that's the first question I ask. Have you ever experienced someone passing away and they had insurance, or someone passing away and they didn't have insurance? If they say yes, tell me the story. Tell me about it. Tell me what happened. They're going to tell you the story. And little by little, as they're telling the story, they're in a way going back to that memory. And some of that hurt comes back, right? And if the story is, yeah, my aunt passed away, or my uncle passed away, he didn't have any life insurance. My family struggled. My aunt ended up needing to find help. She ended up having to go get a second job. They weren't emotionally ready for it. They lost everything. They lost their house. They lost this. If they start telling you that story, right? And that story could go that way, or the story could be great. The story could be, yes, my father passed away from an unexpected heart attack, but he at least left me behind $100,000. And although it sucked, my dad passed away at 54 and I miss him. we were able to buy a house and I was able to put a down payment. And because of that, I'm not living in an apartment any longer. And my son has a home and a bedroom. That could be the story, right? But there's a story. I want to bring them back to that world. Because my next question to them is this, Mr. Klein, let me ask you something. Do you yourself personally believe in life insurance? Yes, I do, is what most people say. You need that. I'm going to tell you right now, people who don't believe in life insurance, it's going to be a hard sale. You might ask me, well, what's the objection that you handle with that? It's hard. People who don't, I want to know why. They tell me, I don't believe in life insurance. Why? I want to know why. Why don't you believe in life insurance? Maybe there's a horrific story in the past, a policy that didn't pay out for some reason, right? That happens. If someone lies about their life insurance policy and they die next month, listen, you lied about your application, they ain't gonna pay. Someone has an accidental death benefit policy and the person didn't die from an accident, they died from an actual regular medical condition. They need to know the reason that policy didn't pay out was because that's not real life insurance. That's just accidental life insurance. But I need to know why. But the majority of people are going to tell you yes, just so you know. Don't concern yourself too much with those who say no. Let me first show you what to do and those who say yes. Yes, I believe in life insurance. So what's happened so far in this game of psychology that I'm playing? They've told me their story. I brought them emotionally back. I asked them a direct question. Do you have life insurance? They tell me, I'm sorry, do you believe in life insurance? They say yes. Right? That's the jab, right? Jab. Here's the big one. Boom. Here's the hook. Here's the hook. Ready? Do you have life insurance? You'd be amazed how many people answer, no, I don't. What I did is I put them up against a wall. I ask questions in every scenario that I'm in my life. I ask questions first before I go for the kill. Because I need to know that if I'm going to go for the kill, I'm going in and I'm winning. I'm not going in swinging blindly. Okay? Have you ever experienced it? Yes, I have. Tell me about it. This and this and this and this and this happened. How'd your family respond to it? You know, I don't get me wrong. I ask a couple questions along the story. I want to know if the situation was, if it was bad, believe it or not, I want to know why it was bad. I need to know the horror. If it was a pleasant experience, I also want to know why, but I need to know more about the story. Have you ever experienced it? Yes, I have. Tell me about it. Mr. Client, do you yourself personally believe in life insurance? Yes, I do. Jab, here comes the hook. Ready? Mr. Client, do you have life insurance? I don't. There it is. I don't. Wait, you just told me you experienced something horrible. You just told me you believe in life insurance, but yet you don't. You're out of alignment with your own value system, Mr. Client. Because here's my next question. What's held you back from getting life insurance? Why? What do you think? What do you think are the reasons why people don't get life insurance? There's top two. Anybody?
They think it's too expensive.
Money?
Cost and thinking they'll get it later, they put it off.
Procrastinators is true too. I'll give that the third. Lack of knowledge about it. A lot of the top two reasons I've always gotten. I haven't had the time to go get it. And I think it's expensive. What are the top two? What's my solution to both those? You know what I say? Ma'am, you're in luck. Or sir, you're in luck. We've got time today to talk about it. And I'm going to show you how cost-effective insurance can actually be. That's my language. You might say, Tony, is that what you do every time? That's what I do every time. That's what I do every time. And 80% of the times, the response is exactly what I just told you. Now for my technical people, right? Well, what if they don't give you that? Well, what if they give you this? What if they give you that? Or Listen, don't worry about that right now. If I'm telling you right now, in my 16 years of experience, 80% of the time, it goes that exact path. Master the 80%, worry about the 20 later. Master the 80, worry about the 20 later. 80% is still a B, bro. 80% still get you paid. Learn the 80 first before you worry about the 20. That's what the majority of the times it is. I'll repeat the questions. Ready? First question, Mr. Client. Mr. Client, have you ever experienced the passing of someone who had insurance or the passing of someone who didn't have insurance? right? You can say it 1,000 different ways. Mr. Client, have you ever seen somebody pass away and have insurance, or somebody pass away and not have insurance? But I want to ask that question. Yes, I have. Tell me about that story. Now I know. Now I want to know the why, the who, the when, the where. You know what I mean? I want to know those main questions. Who was it that passed? Why did they pass away? When did it happen? Who was affected? Did the person have coverage? And you know what I want to know more importantly? After the person passed away, what happened? Because that's what life insurance is there for. It's for the aftermath. Mr. Klein, after that person passed away, after your uncle passed away, what was your family's life after that? Particularly your aunt and your cousins, the people that were immediately impacted by it. What was their life afterwards? I want to know that story. You know how many times I've heard stories like, no, you know, my aunt, she struggled. They went through depression. They went through this. They went through that. Or financially, they lost their house or this, or they had to move in with us because financially they couldn't. Let me ask you a question. When they were going through that depression, did your aunt have to go right back to work dealing with that depression? Yes, she did. Would it have been advantageous if she didn't have to go back to work so that she could process the issue and help her kids go through the issue a little bit better? Would that have been better? Yes, it would have. That's my questions. First one, have you ever experienced it? Yes. Second, Mr. Client, do you yourself believe in life insurance? I do. I believe in life insurance. Why? I asked that as well too. Why? Why do you believe in it? Why to me is like the greatest question ever, just so you guys know. Because I get to understand their point of view. Because believe it or not, sometimes people will tell you I believe in it because I was taught to believe in it, because my dad had it, my mom had it. There's not an emotional connection to it. Sometimes there is an emotional connection to it. I believe in it because of what happened. I want to know what the why is. The why tells such a big story, guys. Don't be afraid to ask why. Why? Let them tell you. Right? Jab, jab. You ever seen somebody pass away and have insurance? Seen somebody pass away, didn't have insurance? Jab, jab. Do you believe in life insurance? Second jab. Hook. Ready? Boom. Do you have life insurance yourself, Mr. Client? I don't. Why? And if they say, I do, great. I'm so glad I'm talking to a believer of insurance. Mr. Client, what type of insurance do you have? You know what they say then? I don't know. I don't know. Or I have it through my employer. You know what I say when someone says to me, I have it through my employer? I say, Mr. Client, would you agree with me that one of these three things is going to happen? You will either retire from your employer, you will either quit from your employer, or your employer will let you go. But at some point or another, your relationship with your employer is going to end. Would you agree to that statement? Yes, I would. Do you know that when you part ways with your employer, the insurance that you have with them stays with them? You see, it's called an employee benefit. And at some point, you're no longer going to be an employee of theirs. Mr. Klein, is it important to make sure that when you part ways with them, that you still have an insurance policy to leave behind for your legacy? Yes, it is. Mr. Klein, are you aware that insurance is the most cost effective the younger you are and the healthier you are? Yes, it is. It might make sense to look into it now and not later when it might be too late. You might say, Tony, do you say that every time? I say it every time. It rolls off my tongue. I'm hitting record. Literally, I'm just boom, record. But do you know how I'm able to do that? I was willing to fall forward fast. I was willing to make a lot of mistakes fast. Guys, every one of you guys are 25 mistakes away from making 50K. You're 50 mistakes away from making 100K. The problem is that some of you guys take 5 years to make your 25 mistakes. Some of y'all take 10 years to make 100 mistakes. And unfortunately, life keeps punching you in the face while you're still making those mistakes and you end up quitting. But listen to my statement. You're 25 mistakes away, field mistakes. I'm not talking about illustration mistakes. I'm talking about actual client mistakes. You're 25 client mistakes away from 50K. And you're 50 client mistakes away from 100K. But now that you know that data, how urgent are you about making those mistakes right away? Or is fear going to get the best of you and you're going to procrastinate and let more and more time pass between mistake number 1 and mistake number 50? I'm a product of about 500 mistakes, just so y'all know. But it took me about 50 mistakes to make my first 100K. It did. It took me about 50 mistakes to make my first 100K. This year alone, I'm going to tell you right now, this year building an FMO, I mean, I made probably 70 something mistakes. But you know what I love about those mistakes? It's getting easier and easier and easier and easier to bring somebody into TKO Financial Network, to get them contracted, to get them out on the field, to get them buying leads. It's getting so much easier now because I've learned from all those mistakes. So much. My language is totally different when I talk to guys that are making even, guys that are making, I mean, Carlos Colon, 6 million in annuities, guys, I've never done that. I, as a personal writer, has never done that. You would, like, that's kind of intimidating if you think about it, but I've made so many mistakes that my level, my knowledge base of this industry is at a whole different ballpark that I can now talk to him in a way where he still wants something that we have to offer. Because although he's been a phenomenal producer, he's never been a builder. And that's something that I could teach him how to do. But all of that came from the mistakes. It's the mistakes. Guys, I promise you, you're 25 mistakes away, client mistakes, from 50K a year. You're 50 client mistakes away from 100K. How fast can you get through those 50 mistakes? That's 100% on you. 100% on you. 100% on you. You know what scares right now some of the companies that I came from? You know what scares them right now? We didn't leave to become producers. We left to become bigger builders. And the intellectual property of what we learned on how to build, how to taproot, how to start, how to get somebody oriented, that knowledge base, that intellectual property, it comes with me and it comes with every one of you guys, and it stays with you for the rest of your lives. There's going to be somebody in here one day that made so many mistakes, but was willing to get back up to bat, either as a producer or as a builder, and is going to make a decision to say, I'm going to do the numbers that I need to do to one day open up my own FMO. And you're going to open up your own FMO. And I promise you, in the background, I'm going to be cheering you the hell on, because I'm going to know that's a product of intellectual property. I can't take that intellectual property back. I'm forever grateful for my mentors that I had the first 5 years, because you guys get to get impacted by them, and yet you have no idea who they are. It doesn't matter whether I have a good relationship or bad relationship with them, which I have a great relationship with them. But if I had a poor relationship with them and they wanted the worst of me, they could never take back what they gave me, intellectual property, what I have in here. And that's what I try to give to you guys. But these trainings still require one other piece of the puzzle. You know what it requires? You know what that piece of the puzzle is? It's your ability to get off of this training and then go implement and go make your mistakes. Because my biggest mentor, my biggest, greatest, best mentor is life. Life experience is my greatest, greatest mentor in everything in my life, in relationships, in being a parent, in being a business builder, and being an insurance agent. In everything in my life, my greatest mentor has just been the life experiences. And what's crazy about these life experiences is that every single time I can always say, I felt it, I experienced it, but you know what? God was there the entire time. And he shielded me from certain things that could have gone wrong, but didn't go wrong. But you got to be willing to make those mistakes, guys. Fall forward. I gave you my script now when it comes to insurance. I gave you the script. Because you know what's next after that? When they say, I believe in insurance, I don't have insurance. You know what's next after that? It's very simple. But let me show you the types of insurances that exist. And from there, all I do is I show them the 4 types of insurances. And if you want to know how I do the 4 types of insurances presentation, watch the YouTube channel. It's there. The Insurance Plug. If you don't know what the channel is, it's called The Insurance Plug on YouTube. I created playlists and organized it for you. Look at the playlist that's titled Life Insurance and watch the video called 4 Types of Insurances. I explain term, GUL, IUL, and then final expense. But I cannot give that presentation if I don't get their mind in the right place first. That's why I do the 4 questions. These questions in the beginning are the crucial ones. Without that, they're not in the right mindset. They're not. They're just not in the right mindset. I don't like to have recruiting interviews when people are driving on a Zoom when they're using their phone. Do you know why? They're not in the right mindset. Same thing. If I'm doing a client meeting, I got to get them in the right mindset. You know what mindset it is? I want to get them in the mindset of when they felt somebody pass away. Let me bring you there. Let me bring you there, because that point in your life was probably the most opportune moment for you to realize that your life is just as brittle as theirs, and you could very well go one day. So protect yourself. But we're not at that place right now. We're here. And because we're here, I'm going to take you there. When you're there, now we're going to talk about it. When you're there, now we're going to talk about it. That's the most crucial part. That's a transference of emotion, guys. That's a transference of emotions. That's why those questions are so important, because I got to bring them back there. Have you ever experienced it, Mr. Client? Tell me about it. Do you believe in it? Do you have any? You don't. None of this story is in alignment. You've seen a loss. You believe in it, but you don't have it. Wait, what? Why is that? And when I talk about communication, guys, I'm also talking body language, my facial expression, my tonality, my ups, my downs, all that stuff matters. When I ask them the question, do you know how I ask? I don't say this. I don't say this. I don't go, you're joking, huh? Hey, do you have life insurance? No, that's a casual. I ask him, Mr. Client, can I ask you a serious question? Look what I just did. Mr. Client, can I ask you a serious question? You know what they do? They go from this to this. Yeah, ask me. Do you have life insurance? I kind of whisper it. You see how my tonality goes down a little bit? Do you have life insurance? That's an important topic. You know what they're going to say? Yes or no? Yes. Great. My tonality comes up. You're a believer of insurance. Talk to me about it. What kind do you have? See how my posture, up, down, forward. This is why videos are important. This is why I try to see people's body language, and I ask for you to be on camera, because you say so much in your body language. You want your clients to do the same thing. You can figure them out. You can read them out. If you see that they're not paying attention, you can challenge them in different ways. If you see that they're focused, you can hit them harder. If you see that there's tears about to run down their eyes, you've got to press harder. Yes. You might, Tony, do you really? Yes. Yes. You know why I want husbands and wives there? Because when I do a dime analysis, I know emotionally I'm going to pull at mom's strings. I'm going to pull at mom's strings. Because after I do the 4 types of insurances and I explain the type, now that I know that they don't have coverage, now that I've explained the types of insurances and they've told me which one they're interested in, what do I got to now do? I got to figure out how much insurance they need. Because there's more, they could tell me, oh, I like this one, but how much of it? 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, a million? How much? Let's figure out how much. So I got to talk to husband and wives together. And the question is very simple. I mean, let me see. Who do I have here? Is we there next to you, Puebli? Is we there next to you, Puebli? Is we there? He's not there? Okay. No. Okay. So if I'm talking to husband and wife, like let's just say right now that Puebli's significant other is next to her. You know the conversation I have with them when I try to figure out how much insurance, they need? It's very simple. I say, listen, if you don't come home today, and I'm having a conversation with Puebli right now, face to face, because you didn't make it home today, and I look at the calendar, I literally do. I look at the calendar today, the 5th of June. You don't make it home this afternoon, but you and I happened to have a conversation before you passed away about what you wanted to make sure you left behind. What would that story sound like? What would that story sound like? Are you leaving Puebli in a house that's paid? Are you leaving your son with a college tuition that's covered? Are you leaving her a debt-free world? Are you buying her a house? Are you replacing your income that you're generating to the house right now? What are you doing if today, this afternoon, I got to knock on Puebli's door and tell her, Puebli, I'm so sorry. We didn't make it home. What's that story sound like? You see how I'm doing it, and Puebli's kind of already like nodding her head, like it's a clutch. It's like an emotional jerker. I need that. I want that from both of them. You know what ends up happening typically? This happens. Ready? They go like this. Whew. This is a tough question. There's a little bit of a silence. I'm just as silent. Guys, don't start talking. Keep that silence there. Trust me. He who speaks first loses. I want them to talk first. Just silence. And then they start talking. And when they're talking, now they're talking with emotion. They're talking with emotion. This is why I like husbands and wives together. Because you know what's one of the other things I'll say, listen, as you're telling me the story, look at Puebli. As you're telling me what you would leave behind, take a look at your significant other. Look at Puebli. Puebli, look at we. I'll do that in the meeting. I need the emotion. That's how I figured out how much insurance they need. That's why it's important to have husbands and wives together, decision makers together. Because then afterwards I flip it. Let me ask you a question, bro. If I knock on your door, because probably didn't make it back, what's that story sound like? Is it the same? Is it different? What's going to happen? Look at the psychology of everything I've done in that meeting. I went from, did you experience it? Tell me about it. Did it suck? It hurt? Guys, I've gone through a loss. I've gone through a loss that I don't like to talk about because it brings me back. It hurts. Then I ask the questions. Simple. Do you believe in it? Yes, I do. Do you have any? I don't. It's almost, people feel embarrassed when they say they don't. They feel ashamed. I believe in it. I've experienced it, but I don't have any. Ashamed. Well, listen, I'm here to help you. These are the types that exist. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which one are you interested in? This one. Now let's figure out what the right amount is. Let's have a conversation between both of you. What do you want? What do you want that story to be like? I want this. I want this. I want this. I want. Okay. Let's put all that story into a numeric formula. A house paid off. How much is a house? 300. Boom, boom, boom. Kids in school. How many kids you got? I got 1 kid. 100 grand. Does that do it? Does. 100 grand. Pay off all your debts. How much is your debts? Because I want more of the story than the numbers. The story to me matters more than the numbers. Because there's passion, there's emotion when you can say, I want my family to be debt-free and have a house that's paid for. There's more power in that statement than, oh, I need $400,000 of insurance. Maybe 400,000 is what you need to make that story a reality, but there's more power out of saying your family is debt-free and the house is completely and utterly paid for. Yes. Okay. How much debt do you have? I got 50,000 in debt. How much is that house? 350,000. That's $400,000 that you need to make that story true. Because the stories sell. Facts tell, stories sell. The facts, 400,000. The story, the house paid, the mortgage paid, the debt free. That's what I do in my process. Simple as that. And I do it every single stinking time. I apologize for going over on time today, guys. I want to value your time, but I wanted to give this stuff to you because every one of you all are literally 3 to 5 meetings away from reinventing your skill sets in this industry. But in the same token, you're 3 to 5, fear statements that you put into your head from dragging your success on another year. So you got to figure it out. If you're 3 to 5 away from reinventing yourself, as far as going to the field, you're just 3 to 5 mistakes away from reinventing yourself. But you're also 3 to 5 statements away from psyching yourself out. Which path do you want to take? Which path do you want to take? And if these types of meetings right now are recorded, what's stopping you? What's stopping you from grabbing one of these videos, watching it 50 times, role playing it then with your significant other before you fall forward? Nothing. One of the best recruiters, one of the very best recruiters in my practice company, I flew him down to spend a couple days with me. He spent 3 hours talking to me about the psychology of how he recruits. You know what I did? I recorded it. You know what I did when he flew back? I took what he recorded and I wrote it down. You know what I did after I wrote it down? I role played it for at least 2 solid straight days. And then I fell forward and I started implementing because if I was going to capture that knowledge from him for 3 hours, I knew that the 3 hours wasn't going to be enough. I needed to take that 3 hours and stretch it out to 3 days. But he didn't tell me to do that. He didn't tell me to record it. He didn't tell me to write it down. He didn't tell me to role play it. Guys, it's not what you do in front of the camera that determines your success. It's what you do off the scenes. So what are you going to do off the scenes when we finish right now? What are you going to do off the scenes? When I upload this YouTube video, what are you going to do? Are you going to watch it 50 times? Are you going to fall forward? 25 mistakes away, 25 mistakes away from 50K, 50 mistakes away from 100K. Are you ready to have those mistakes happen? It's up to you. I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Be blessed. Enjoy your weekends. Let's have a killer June. All right. Let's see some new faces on the leaders board. Okay. Any questions before I let you guys go? Anybody? Good. Awesome.